and gentlemen, welcome to the reality of wrestling. We have an incredible show for you this week on the Blue Label of Sports and Entertainment. My name is Brad Gilmore, and this week we have a major #1 contenders match. We're going to see the returning. We saw her last week. She is back again. The Renaissance woman, Hyan, is going to take on Promise Braxton, and that is going to be a #1 contenders match for the Reality of Wrestling Diamonds Division Championship. We're also going to see the return of the Savage King, and in our main event, the now former Reality of Wrestling champion Bryan Keith, the Lone Ranger of the Row, is going to be taking on one of the pillars of this industry, one of the pillars of this company, Gino. Bryan Keith is in your main event. The question is Bryan Keith going to be 100% after that match that he had with Ruthless Ryan Davison? We're going to have to find out. We're going to see in our main event tonight. All that and more on the Reality of Wrestling. And here we are starting off our Diamonds Division action this week on the Reality of Wrestling. And there she is, the Renaissance woman, Hyan. Hyan just made a return here at the Reality of Wrestling most recently, and she battled Rachel Rose to a victory, mind you. So now this week, she has a shot at getting back what she still feels is always been hers. That's the Reality of Wrestling Diamonds Division Championship. She's going to have to go through what is really one of the most impressive debut of the year, that's Promise Braxton. There she is, confident, a little different, but I gotta admit, I like it. Here comes Promise Braxton. Promise Braxton just kind of burst onto the scene here in Reality of Wrestling. I know that sounds cliche, but it's really an apt description of what we saw from her. We saw her earlier this year at the Ladies Night Out series, and then making her debut over in the Reality of Wrestling roster, and now here she is going to get a #1 contenders match against one of the very best in the history of the Diamonds Division, that is Hyan. The winner of this contest will meet Roxy for that title. As confident as Promise Braxton seems to be, and she should be because she is very impressive, I think that in the back of her mind she is welcoming this challenge from Hyan. There it is, our opening bell from Isaac Bouillon, as these two women start to circle one another inside the Reality of Wrestling ring. A little smack talk never hurt nobody. I think Promise Braxton is welcoming this opportunity. Promise Braxton knows if I can beat Hyan, I think I can beat Roxy, and I can be the new face of this division here at the Reality of Wrestling. Little mind games there by the crafty veteran. A bow and a curtsy to the limited studio audience invited in the World Gym Arena. Socially distanced, of course. Oh, beautiful right there. And Promise Braxton, a fan of her own work. Going for it again, and she hits it again. Look at that, beautiful. Beautiful by Promise Braxton. You can tell that Hyan is really feeling those shots, but I think that what Promise is doing right here is a bad strategy. She needs not to pay attention to the audience who's in the building. She needs to pay attention to that woman right there. Look at the strength. Look at the strength of Promise Braxton. Promise Braxton dropping to one knee after that big scoop and a slam, and she is talking to that Reality of Wrestling Nation again. Holding her hand up, almost signifying that I set the standard here. And now Hyan giving her a taste of it herself. Beautiful right there. And look at that. Just mirroring what Promise Braxton did, but had no problem scooping, slamming. It did not take a whole lot of physical exertion for the Renaissance woman. Oh! Tope to the outside, went through the middle rope. It Promise Braxton looked like dome to dome there. Throwing Promise Braxton back in. Oh! Big back elbow there by Hyan, roll through. We've seen her do this so many times. This is when she'd really get into her bag. Some high knees from Hyan. And boom, beautiful picture perfect drop kick right on the button. Cover, 1, 2, and a kick out right there. Promise Braxton, though, registering everything that Hyan has been giving her for the last 2.5 minutes about. It's been all Hyan. Offense, 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 offense. And you can see that cardio that Hyan has been talking about online. You see that she's always talking about getting her cardio up. You see that that is coming into play in this contest, even in the early goings. We're just a couple minutes in, but Hyan's gas tank still on full. Promise Braxton moving out of the way at the last second. Look at this beautiful German suplex. Wow. I have not seen that from her arsenal. Cover, 1, 2, and a kick out. Promise Braxton might be new, but she thinks she has the movements and the thought process of a veteran. She saw that she got Hyan down with that German suplex, and now she's putting the boots to her. She's gonna go to work now. Now Promise Braxton is going to get Hyan right where she wants her. Oh. And Promise now is putting the boot to that neck of Hyan. Referee started the count. Didn't last long, but maybe just be enough to slow down that offensive tear that the Renaissance woman was on. Snapmare takeover. Bounce against the ropes. Oh, beautiful right there. Drop kick. And now Promise Braxton. Promise Braxton starting to cook. 1, 2. I think Promise knew that she wasn't going to get the 3 count there. She just wanted to pin her to let her know, hey, I'm here. Oh, counter there by, oh, look at that. Beautiful counter there by Hyan. A forearm, spins around, a big chop to the chest. Wow, I felt that one. Oh, wow, beautiful lariat. Beautiful lariat, and you see the smile on the face of the Renaissance woman. Trying to get back into this one. Fireman's carry position, what is she gonna do? What is she gonna do with Promise Braxton? Oh, look at that, just throws her right down center of the mat. And a beautiful leg drop. Cover, 1, 2. Kick out there. And Hyan, we've seen this happen in the past. When she isn't getting the result that she wants, and that result being a 3, a lot of times she wears that emotion on her face. She's showing the physical, not the physical, but the mental effects of the physicality. And look at that, Promise Braxton just holding on to the ankle of Hyan. Further frustrating and annoying the Renaissance woman, and now getting the advantage on her. Going for that knee. This is beautiful, right to the back of the head. Spinning heel kick. Oh! Bicycle kick to the bottom of the grill. Cover with both legs. 1, 2. Wow, thought that could have been 3 right there. And so did Promise Braxton. Promise Braxton almost thought that was her called shot. And now she's almost reaching up to the heavens. Hyan with a counter and another series of forearms. Forearms to the side of the face, to the left side of the jaw of Promise Braxton, and catches her with that lifting knee into the rib cage. That'll knock the wind out of you, at least momentarily. And so will this. Hyan looking for a big suplex. Oh no, just hangs her up there on the top rope. She's going up. Oh man! Look at that, knocking Promise Braxton all the way outside in front of the commentary table. But the only issue is you cannot win the match from out there. Hyan needs to go get Promise, get her back inside the ring so she can get the 3 count and be the new #1 contender for that Diamond Division Championship. It would mean so much for the Renaissance woman to be gone for the majority of 2020. Come back, win 2 matches in a row, build that momentum, and then be able to get Roxy. But right now, Hyan is having difficulty getting Promise Braxton, who looks like she is dead weight, back in the ring. And here's the thing, referee gets to a 10 count. I don't know if we can officially have a #1 contender that way. Hyan knows that. She rolls under the bottom rope, breaks up the count. Referee has to start over as she tries to get Promise Braxton back inside of the ring. And she finally does. She finally gets her back inside the squared circle. And now Hyan under the middle rope. Wait, hold on. Cover, 1, 2. Did she get her? Did she get her? She did. She did. Promise Braxton. Wow, out of obscurity. Out of obscurity. She has just pinned the Renaissance woman. Hyan having to use a lot of physical exertion to lift up the seemingly dead weight of Promise Braxton, but I think Promise was playing possum all along. Wow. A big victory for Promise Braxton here at the Reality of Wrestling. She might be singing with the rest of the Braxton family with jubilation, because she is now the #1 contender for that Reality Wrestling Diamond Division Championship, and we will see her meet Roxy in the near future. Promise Braxton, your winner at our opening contest this week on the Reality of Wrestling.
Pro Nation, I'm Ashley Bull here with Zack Mason. Earlier this week, you tweeted out that you had a big announcement for us on this episode. Are you ready to share that with us?
Well, yes, Ashley, I do have an interesting bit of news to share with you and the world right here, right now. You see, me and the boss man, Booker T, we've been in talks here lately in the last couple of weeks. And he's starting to recognize all the hard work that I've been putting in. Out here steady grinding week after week. So he's decided that I've earned my shot. And he's declared me the new #1 contender for the Reality of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. So next week, I'm cashing in, baby. I'm challenging Ryan Davidson. And you see, Ryan Davidson, he goes by many names. He's the Bear from Bel Air. He's ruthless. He's got the Davidson drip. Well, come next week, the Davidson drip ain't gonna include the Reality of Wrestling Heavyweight title.
And we continue the action here this week on the Reality of Wrestling. There comes Dion Johnson. We've seen Dion. He's been a Reality of Wrestling mainstay for a lot of time, long time, and he makes his comeback here in the World Gym Arena this week on the road. But I'm afraid that he's pulled the short straw in the back because he is going against royalty. Not just any royalty. There he is, undefeated, never been pinned, never been submitted, never been counted out, never been disqualified. The only thing he has ever been is a winner here at the Reality of Wrestling. He is the Savage King. Slow, methodical, prodding, powerful, undeniable, unstoppable. The Savage King. Look at that, scaring our cameraman there. We have seen the Savage King now for months. Come in here, beat somebody up, do it impressively, do it quickly, walk out with the win, never utter one word. There we go, the opening bell, and look at the body language there of the Savage King. Oh, beautifully timed shot. Side headlock there. Dion Johnson bouncing against the ropes. Oh, big shoulder blow. Knocking him right down, but Dion Johnson getting right back up. Savage King with that 1,000-yard stare. He almost stares a hole right through your body. Going for a collar and elbow tie-up, but Dion Johnson ducks it. Waist lock, Savage King reverses. Now he's got him in that same position. Show of strength there by Dion Johnson. Now the Savage King, seemingly in a precarious position. Not a desirable one, but he's firing up, and look at that. Oh my goodness. Referee needs to look at that. Those look like some close fist. Dion Johnson swinging for the fences. Does it once, does it twice. Blocked by Savage King, blocked by him again. Oh! And finally gets a shot off. Doesn't even look like Savage King felt it. Oh, Savage King! Savage King just headbutted a fist and a beautiful suplex. A beautiful Savage suplex. I have never seen somebody block a straight right hand with their head until I saw the Savage King just do it. Oh, and a big knife edge chop. I'll tell you what, I don't know if there's been anybody outside of the title picture who's been more impressive. Look at that body avalanche. 1, 2. Can't get after 2. I don't know if there's been anybody outside of the title picture who has been as impressive as the Savage King. You gotta think that maybe, just maybe, some sort of championship opportunity could be in his future if he continues to impress this way. I mean, how could it not? Knife edge chop again to Dion Johnson. And Dion, although he had some showings of offense early on, after Savage King blocked a knockout blow with his head, it was been all downhill for Dion Johnson. But just as I say that, he starts to fire back up. Savage King is not going to let him back into this. Sometimes I wonder if the referee should just have the understanding, wherewithal, and know-how to just stop the matches that the Savage King finds himself in. Look at the strength. Look at the strength of the King. And look at the face of Dion Johnson. What's he doing here? Dion, headbutt of his own. Gets out of the way. Fires up again. Lefts and rights. Lefts and rights. Oh! Savage King off the middle rope. The diving lariat. Now, looking around as if he is signaling the end of this. Cover 1. Oh, only a 1 count. Not exactly sure what Savage King was thinking, taking time, but nevertheless still in the driver's seat when it comes to this match. Still, Dion Johnson has had limited offense, and still Savage King, wait, hold on, what is Savage King doing here? He said he wants everything. Oh! Going for that senton, he missed. Dion Johnson, beautiful trap suplex. Over the head. Savage King looks a little perplexed. Oh! Savage King showing some effects of this contest. Maybe the most he's been challenged ever. Grabs onto that top rope, trying to prevent any further offense from Dion Johnson. Able to hold on just enough. Dion didn't have the power. Oh, look at that! Look at that! A Legolas big boot. A Legolas-like big boot there now. Savage King's gonna try to choke him out. The referee's trying to stop it. I think this is... Hold on, the referee cannot get control of the Savage King. Well, that was it. The referee called a stop to the action almost instantly. I talked about him having the wherewithal, understanding, and know-how to just stop it, and he did. The Savage King savagely gets another win here at the Reality of Wrestling.
For over 13 years, the King of Solar Screens has been an industry leader, and we proudly use 100% American-made products. Home of the $55 any size, any color solar screen.
Well, what about arches?
$55.
What about circles?
$55.
What about rectangles?
$55.
Any size, any color, installed free. The King of Solar Screens, on time, every time.
Now can you dig that, sucker?
And up next, our main event, the former Reality of Wrestling champion, Bryan Keith, makes his return to in-ring competition, but this time he faces a man who has held that illustrious championship on 3 separate occasions. He goes against the man that they call the Latin heartthrob. He goes against Gino in our main event, and it is right now. And it is now time for our main event this evening on the Reality of Wrestling, a man who is no stranger to that main event, the Latin heartthrob, the former Reality of Wrestling champion, Gino. It says it right there on his shirt, untouchable. And that is how Gino has been here in Reality Wrestling for the most part. He has had a roller coaster ride to the top with very few dips, twists, or turns. Sure, he has lost that Reality Wrestling Championship on 3 separate occasions, but he's also gone back up to the mountaintop, and he's broken records. He's proved people. Oh, look at that. Just, that's real nice. Real nice there, Gino. Nevertheless, attitude aside, inside the squared circle, this man is aces. Second generation performer, the son of Mexican wrestling legend El Sanguinario. Gino, Medina. He is Gino. Sporting the familiar smile is Bryan Keith, the Lone Ranger of Reality Wrestling tonight. He is the now former champion after losing to the Bear, Ryan Davidson, in our first ever drive-up event here outside of the World Gym Arena. In our main event, you did see it, Bryan Keith fell victim to the Bear. He got mauled. He lost his championship, and now he's already back in action so quickly thereafter, after a match where we seemingly thought that he may have been seriously injured there toward the end. Bryan Keith cannot be anywhere close to 90%, let alone 100% getting inside the ring with somebody who you need to be 110% to have an opportunity against. But if anybody can prove us wrong, it is the Lone Ranger of the Rope, Bryan Keith. Wonder though the mentality of a man who climbed to the top, had one of the longest reigns in reality wrestling history as the champion, now being the champion no more, and losing it in the first event that we've had with a pretty good size portion of the reality wrestling nation, be it in a drive-up event or not. Bryan Keith felt the pressure that night. I spoke to him earlier that night. He said he wants to prove that he belongs as the reality wrestling champion. That is something that he has kept with him since he won the championship in late 2019. He felt the need to continue to prove himself. He never wanted to rest on his laurels. Then he went out there, he did not get the job done. You gotta think that is weighing on the conscience of the Lone Ranger this evening. I want to talk about somebody who took their quarantine time to their benefit. Gino has never looked better. He's never looked leaner. He's never looked more physically dominant than he does right now. You have to remember, this man walked into the gym at the Reality Wrestling Arena when he was just 16 years of age. He won that championship in his early 20s, and he is still in his early 20s. Gino has been a cornerstone, though, at this company. And now you see him in the likes of MLW, performing all around this country, performing in Mexico. And now Bryan Keith, though. Bryan Keith, you see the look on his face. Taking, oh, look at that. Beautiful leg sweep there by Gino. Gino's getting him tied up early on. Bryan Keith trying to find that rope. Switches out. The Lone Ranger stands tall. Referee Isaac Bouillon starting his count, telling Gino to get back in here. And you know, Bryan Keith has to be thinking that I need to win this match tonight. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. I have to win. I have to win. I have to win to get back in the title picture. Here at Reality Wrestling, there's not automatic rematch clauses. You lose, you're to the back of the line. And the number one contender will arise. The next guy will be there. And Bryan Keith wants to make sure the next guy is him, because he feels like he has some unfinished business inside this ring. Collar and elbow tie up. Gino, look at that, beautiful. Just grabbing Bryan Keith around the neck. And a front face lock right here. Bryan Keith goes down to one knee. What we talk about is Bryan Keith 100% sure he's showing it physically here in the early goings. As this match progresses, look at that nice single leg takedown by Gino. Gino going right back to that left knee of Bryan Keith, and now side headlock there on the mat. Beautiful wrestling. Bryan Keith, reversal. What I was saying, Bryan Keith in the early goings, yes, he looks physically fit. He looks like he's ready to go. I'm showing no signs of weakness coming out of his last match, but we are still in the early goings here. With these two guys' resumes, this match could go all night long. And as this match progresses, as the fatigue sets in, as the breaths get deeper by Bryan Keith, can he find it in himself to battle back against a fresh Gino? Oh. Gino, oh wow, look at that. Bryan Keith, quickest kicks in the South for a reason. Going for it again, Gino had it scouted. Gino rolls through. Leapfrog. Bryan Keith, a drop kick quick, out of nowhere, right to the lower gut of Gino. Beautiful work there by the former champion. Bryan Keith has held 2 championships in his illustrious career here at Reality Wrestling, the television championship and the Reality Wrestling championship, of course, one of the longest reigning of the latter. Gino, fireman's carry position. Oh, just Bryan Keith able to shift his weight, and then Gino greets him with a forearm to the face. And now, it looked like he was trying to send him into the pole, but Bryan Keith, using the step ladder that our cameramen used to get a good angle, rounds up it and now finds himself on the top rope, and a beautiful drop kick sending Gino to the outside. Bryan Keith, the Lone Ranger of the road, now finding his footing, and he's in the driver's seat. But wait a minute though, look at that. Those ribs that were damaged in the match with Ryan Davison. Those ribs that were seemingly broken, or at least cracked at the very least, coming into play. Anybody who's ever had fractured ribs, cracked ribs, broken ribs, or bruised ribs know how hard it is to fire up, knows how hard it is to take that deep breath I was talking about when we get in the later goings. But Bryan Keith looking for a rodeo. He's looking for a rodeo DDT. Gino had it scouted and just holds him up, hangs him up on that top rope, which is just steel under it. 1, 2. Wow. Okay, lots happening. Let's break this down. Gino, by throwing Bryan Keith in a beautiful counter over that top rope, which is a steel cable encased by piping, he has just further damaged those already predisposed ribs of Bryan Keith, and now a kick to the back. A kick to the back, the spine. 1. Oh. Stepping on the hands of Bryan Keith. That's a mental game Gino's playing. Gino's got his left arm wrapped up behind him, and now pulling back on the neck and the chin of Bryan Keith, making it all that much more hard for him to breathe. And now pulling back on the neck, that expands that rib cage, and that is putting pressure all across his torso, which is making those breaths again harder. And then look at that. Oh man. That left leg wrapped around the front side of the rib cage of Bryan Keith, and Gino just opening and closing his leg like a pair of scissors, cutting. Man, cutting Bryan Keith. That big overhand chop, slowing Gino down, and Gino said, I'm tired of that. I'm gonna give up on that, and just stepping right back on the hand. Chops to the chest. And you see Bryan Keith registering every single one of them. Kicks to the side of the head. No respect, shown by the former champion. Bryan Keith, though, finally getting some offense in. Oh. Gino's so quick. Man, Gino's so quick. Always impressive the way that he finds his ways in and out of different positions here inside the squared circle. And now he's trying to use that bottom rope for leverage to get Bryan Keith up and over. Oh! Excuse me, for Bryan Keith to get Gino up and over. And look at that. Shades of the Mexican wrestling legend Eddie Guerrero right here from the great state of Texas. 1-2, kick out after 2 on the back on the spinal problem of Bryan Keith. Gino always trying to weaken you. And look at that. See, we didn't see it before. Those ribs were exposed. Those ribs were taped up. And now Gino, look at that. Gino's trying to tie Bryan Keith into the corner with his bandaging from his bruised ribs. And now, look at that. That's just despicable. That is just despicable. El Campeon, I don't know, inadvertently spitting in our referee's face. And while he had his back to Bryan Keith, trying to argue with the referee, kicking Bryan in the ribs repeatedly as the referee's telling him to stop. Speaking of that, we talked about it in the Savage King match. I'm thinking that Isaac Bouillon might just need to step in and stop this one so Bryan Keith can live to fight another day. Pulling back. Look at that. Referee counting 1, 2, 3. Now Gino almost taking a break. He knows that he is in the driver's seat. He knows that this is exactly where he wants Bryan Keith to be, and he feels very comfortable in his position. Bryan Keith, though, looking for that side effect. Gino able to counter it. No, but Bryan Keith hits it there. Bryan Keith hits it there. Cover. 1, 2, and a kick out by Gino. Wow. Bryan Keith had to dig deep to hit that, and he was able to get the job done. But he wasn't able to get the 3 count. Oh, go for that side kick. Gino almost counters in a schoolboy. Now he gets a kick to the side of the head on his own. He's gonna hit that scarlet letter. Jumping enziguri from the former Reality of Wrestling champion. And is that enough time for him to buy himself a breath? For him to take a break? For him to get his mind back mentally? To get his body back physically? So he can finish off the Latin heartthrob and be one step closer to fighting the bear for that Reality of Wrestling championship. Referee up to a count of 6. Bryan Keith getting back up to one knee, saying he needs a cowboy up, signaling for that rodeo DDT. But Gino, Snake Eyes in the corner, rolls through. Oh, God, that lifting knee into the rib cage of Bryan Keith. Now those ribs have to be broken. Scarlet letter. It's all academic at this point. 1, 2. Whoa. Bryan Keith just kicked out of the scarlet letter. It's not the first time that's ever happened, but it's a rare occasion. It's like Halley's Comet in Reality of Wrestling for someone to kick out of the scarlet letter. And that just shows you the heart, the will, the determination, the passion Bryan Keith has. But was that the right move for his future? Should he just not live to fight another day and chalk this one up as an L as he tries to counter out of Gino? And he does. Beautiful back suplex. And now, Bryan Keith is relying on the energy of the inhabitants of the Reality of Wrestling World Gym Arena. Can they get him back into this match? Rodeo DDT. Oh, Bryan Keith. His ribs just eating that. Beautiful kick there by Gino. Oh, and a rodeo. What a rodeo. A rodeo by Bryan Keith. Bryan Keith finding a way. Turn over Bryan. Just get a cover. Bryan. He gets the arm over. 1, 2. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. Gino gets the job done out of a reversal, no less. Gino defeats the former Reality of Wrestling champion, Bryan Keith. Now Bryan Keith taking 2 L's in a row. But he obviously was not 100% coming into this match. Gino knew it. Gino exposed his weakness, and it got him to victory. He is still untouchable, is Gino. The real story here now, congratulations to Gino on a hard-fought victory, although by some deceptive means at times. The story is Bryan Keith. Bryan Keith now laying there. The reality is setting in. He is not the champion. And he just took a loss in the Reality Wrestling main event.
His ribs most likely broken. What is the future of the Lone Ranger of the Road? We'll have to find out.